Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. So great to see people in an actual live space, people all together. Are we rolling, Deb?
Yeah.
We're rolling, okay. So welcome and bienvenue to the 7th edition of Rapid Fire Reading, Ricochet Writing, which is part of this year's Salon dans la ville series at the Salon du Livre. So although this does not look like the Salon du Livre, it is part of the Salon du Livre. Un grand merci au Salon for inviting the Quebec Writers Federation to take part this year, and to the Department of Canadian Heritage for funding this event. The Quebec Writers Federation represents diverse individuals who live and create on traditional territories of many First Peoples. The QWF office is located at Tchouchage, which is what Kanien'kehá:ka call Montreal. This place has been and continues to be a historical gathering place for many Indigenous peoples. We're grateful to be part of a long and proud history of creating and sharing stories on this land. My name is Maria Shamus-Turner, and I will be your host. I say I have in my script this evening, so obviously I don't even know what time of day it is, this afternoon. Hello to those of you who are joining us via YouTube. If you haven't experienced the event before, here is what is going to happen. 12 of the 2021 QWF finalists, there are actually 13, but one of them is in disguise. You'll figure it out as the event goes on. We'll keep things hopping by reading from their nominated work for only 120 seconds each. QWF's Executive Director, Laurie Schubert, will be standing by with her trusty bell to give the signal when the reader has to stop. Then, still on stage, each reader will take a turn at the computer, just behind me, to contribute on the spot to a collaborative text that will be read aloud at the end of the show by our lovely volunteer, Monique Polak. Because of the limited time that we have for each reader, I will introduce each writer by name only from off camera. So writers, be ready to jump up and come to read when I call your name. You can find the complete list of finalists on the QWF website. Not everybody could be here with us today. So we're going to kick it off with our first reader, Monique Polak.
We're going to draw counting this, right?
Okay.
So I don't imagine you got much schooling in that internment camp, Broderick says to Isaac. You're right about that, Isaac says, without turning round to look at Broderick. We got no schooling at all in the internment camp. Fortunately, I got a rather good education at the Gymnasium in Dusseldorf. We did Latin and Greek and all the sciences. Of course, my studies were interrupted when what, Broderick asks, when the National Socialists barred those of us with Jewish blood from attending school. Isaac's thin back trembles at the memory, and I hope that now Broderick will know enough to drop the conversation. But Broderick does not seem to notice Isaac's reaction. And now we have to deal with all of you Jews wanting to get into Canada and trying to take our places at medical school. Now Isaac whips round to face Broderick. Isaac's dark eyes have a wild look. All you Jews? This time it's Isaac who's mimicking Broderick. Believe me, Broderick, there are far more Jews who are dead in Europe, killed by the Nazis, than will ever turn up in your country. Glynis is clutching my elbow. Broderick throws back his shoulders. Some people say you Jews are like pigs coming to the trough, and the trough is this fine country. Isaac stands up, causing the rowboat to lurch to one side. Glynis screams. I know I should stand up for Isaac and say what I am thinking, that Broderick is behaving in a horrible way and that he is insulting me too, because I am even more Jewish than Isaac. But I don't want to make a fuss, especially not today, when we are the Benbow's guests in Shawbridge. Isaac, I say, sit down this instant. From the look on Isaac's face, I am afraid he's about to throttle Broderick. Broderick meant nothing by it, Isaac, Glynis adds. Did you, Broderick? Isaac returns to his seat, but I can hear him breathing heavily. That's right, I meant nothing by it. Broderick sounds sorry. Because of how we're sitting, I'm the only one who can see the smirk on his handsome face.
Martha had finally heard the rest of the story. Her Jane told it this way. There had been an American girl in town one summer, the early 70s, years before Jane had come home to Trish. A college girl, niece of a draft dodger and his wife, staying with them for the summer. Trish said you could take one look at her face and know she'd been sent away from something. She would go into the store for a can of pop, and she was always at the cuffs of her shirt sleeves, fretting them down over her hands. A little black beret pulled down cockeyed over brown cowlicks, a slash of red lipstick, serious little thing. She was always wandering down around the beach, smoking rollies, skipping rocks, dragging around a book. The boys thought she was stuck up. The aunt was a nurse, or she'd been a nurse. She was a rare one who was easy with Trish. She was an outsider, too. She'd be a come-from-away for the rest of her life, and they didn't have children. American draft dodgers with no children. The women were a little cool. The aunt took the girl over to Trish's the first week and said, "We've got a bit of a situation here, and I was wondering if you could, a chat maybe, or even..." The girl was voluble suddenly, alone with Trish. She said she'd known for a few weeks. She said down in Chicago, at school, a girl had told her there was a number she could call, Jane somebody or other who could help. But before the girl, Jenny was her name, before Jenny could get her hands on the number, it was in all the papers. Jane wasn't one woman with a connection. Jane was a whole crowd of women, and they did the thing themselves. They were busted with a full waiting room, and a handful of them spent the night in jail. There went that. Jenny was crushed. She took the blade out of her professor's razor. Trish didn't ask why she was handy to the professor's shaving kit. "I was so disappointed," Jenny said to her. She said, "I also just love the idea of this big, multitudinous Jane." "I like that idea too," Trish said. "I can be a little Jane here for you now, though, if you like."
What interests people in a work are signs of a sorrowful existence. Someone laughs outside the door, then sends a letter to make her feel sorry. We come home 2.5 years later, but our bones break in the middle of it. We are good to you, and you are doing us wrong. On this side of words, we ask for space, and we give it. The temperature varies from this moment to the next, because by space we meant galaxy. We decide to steal something, then decide not to. Everywhere is a thin film of sunlight. Put it back on the shelf. We try to reach ourselves. It's chilling. It is at the heart of this light that we are to be found. Is it wrong to waste time? We waste our time all day long to finish it. A cloud passes in the shape of a rose, and we die to ourselves. But we resist silence. We are tipsy with suffering because it's made up of the sun. What did we decide to call it? Moment of adorable silence. Unlike you, what we want is happy unawareness. Everyone knows it's about you. We would call your pessimism solar, a day of sunshine and clouds. We ought to keep a diary of each day's weather, a title, The Hope of the World. We found a book of humor. What is this? A long walk, kept it for later. Smiles, jokes, and plans, don't let them stop. We are linked to the world by everything we do. We let a voice put us to sleep, moving the grass and sunlight, climb the hill. The sun is doing us a lot of good. It grows us flowers. Shines directly overhead. The glare's unbearable. This is who we are. We award experiments, 1 foot on the sill. You weren't thinking about anything in those delicate moments because the sun was beating down on your bare head, closing around until consciousness slipped.
I'm reading from Orwell in Cuba, my translation of Frédéric Lavoie's Avant l'Après, which won the Governor General's Award for French Nonfiction in 2018. She was born to fervor for the revolution. 1966, the year of solidarity with other socialist peoples. She was 2 years old in January 1969 when he canceled Christmas. It's not that we're proposing to change traditions. It's not that we're renouncing forever the classic times we will return to normal year ends, we will return to normal Christmas, but the machines must do their job. The machines must shore up our traditions. It was the year of decisive effort, when men, still new, and women, capitalized too, went to the fields, proud-chinned, primed for the 10 million, for the year of the 10 million tons of sugar. He, however, who had for so long cursed the cane, vowing to free the island from the restraints of its exportation, suddenly now in power, he, in the name of victory, of the new day's triumph over the old, bent back down upon the cane. Thank you.
Donald just finished her piece. We'll get Tanya ready to come up. Tanya, Benjamin, Alex. But don't start. We're up. We have some time. It's getting very tense. We're watching the writing happening.
I feel a little on the spot.
No pressure at all.
We wove our way through the city, a small white car in a maze of broken streets. From the air, we would have looked like a pinball in an elaborately designed game, forced to change direction every few minutes because of blockades. After about 30, I saw the air traffic control tower in the distance. "We're almost there," I shouted. All that was left was to park, check our bags, and get on the plane. But as we drew closer, soldiers in combat fatigues were everywhere. Feet spread apart in their black army boots, machine guns draped across their chests. They guarded the airport entrance with grim expressions under their green hard hats. The tarmac was surrounded by a high metal fence topped with rolls of barbed wire. My father slowed the car to a crawl. "We may have to take a shortcut to the plane," he said. "What do you mean?" I asked, but no one answered. We'd been at this airport only 4 weeks earlier when we'd flown to Cyprus for a week's holiday. We'd been dropped off at the door and gone straight to the Swiss Air ticket counter. There'd been a military presence, as there always was in Beirut, but nothing like this. "I was expecting US Marines," my mother said, "but who are these men? They don't look like the Lebanese army." When my father didn't answer, she continued in a shaky voice, "Are they PLO or Lebanese militia? Maybe we should have tried to leave yesterday or during the night." "You mean we're trapped?" A rush of panic heated my face while my hands and feet went cold. "Maybe it was a mistake not to wear my United Nations uniform," my father said. From the seat behind him, I could see the crease of his perfectly ironed sleeve. I couldn't stop staring at it, unnerved by my father's confusion. He never made mistakes. "It's too late to change," Gis said. "It's too late for a lot of things," my mother said.
Next up is Nadine Niebuhr.
"I don't want to go," I yelled at my mom this morning after she told me to hurry up and get dressed. "You say that now, but you'll see. It'll do you good." She's been saying that for weeks, and I'm sick of hearing it. She's making me go on this canoe trip. She says I've been spending too much time moping around the house and staring at screens, but I don't feel like spending 10 days disconnected from everything. I finished getting ready and followed Mom up the road and down the long wooden steps to the dock, dragging my feet the whole way. I was cold and tired. It's the middle of summer, but I had to wear a sweatshirt and rain jacket. Thick clouds filled the sky as far as I could see. 12 canoes lined the shores of the vast Snare Lake. People were packing the canoes with ever big bags of clothes, tents, and enough food to last us the trip. The whole town had come down to wish us well. About 100 people gathered around the shore. "This is a very important journey you'll be taking," said Mom. She put her hands on my shoulders and leaned down to look at me. She has these sparkling bluish-green eyes. I've never seen a color quite like them. When she looks at me, it feels like she's peering into my soul. Layla's grandparents will guide the way. Listen and watch carefully, and you'll learn a lot. You will be traveling the trails of the Clicho ancestors, the trails they've walked and paddled for thousands of years. They say if you listen carefully, you might still hear them singing. Hine, ha, ha, hine. I didn't want to listen. I didn't want to care. I wanted to stay mad at my mom and walk away without saying goodbye. I wanted her to feel bad. I wanted to stay home watching movies. Not be out here in the cold. But I'm going to miss her. And deep down, I know she just wants what's best for me. So I hugged her tightly, burying my face in her long wavy hair and taking in her scent. Her skin is so soft. Her arms wrapped around me like a warm blanket. Then I suddenly pulled away when I felt tears coming. This will be my first time away from my mom for so long.
Next up is Sarah Venner.
Epiphany. Here I am with 1 hour to find it. Here I am in this 10th month, the peeler of pears, the slicer of hot dogs, cutting them into strips smaller than a child's windpipe. Here's my apologetic smile, accepted by the daycare in return for my children. So what is there to find in 1 hour on my desk's shallow surface? I've mislaid it all somewhere among my mind's tiny gray flags, in the millions of scraps piling up. I left it behind in the dark, bleeding gums of the dog that I loved, watching her clench yet another rock from the tide. That was 12 years ago. What was she looking for? What if she stopped looking? Metaphors were easy then, not only the sky, but migrating everywhere. And now everyone is arrow, arrow, arrows. Everyone harpoons. And I am the big heart, aren't I? When my black dog was being put down, in her last second, I whispered, "Squirrel." Octopus laser. I feel like I'm playing musical chairs because I didn't time myself. Octopus laser, okay. At the time of my crime, I was a lover who professed to love you even as I stole from you. You were a lover who was often flexing in the mirror. When you left for a lab where you studied the body, I had all day to walk around the unpacked boxes of your neighborhood. I ate cans of your tuna in water to keep my figure and rifled through your desk. In one drawer, I found a laser pointer with a button hidden in its sleek side. When I clicked, a red octopus appeared on your bedroom wall. I stole it. This is the easy part.
Holding the body. Those who cannot forget the past are destined to remix it. Evie Shockley, The New Black. This is the way I wash my body, wash my body, wash my body. This is the way I wash my body of everything but tender thoughts. Investigating, does this feel good? Does this feel good? Does this? The way I'm always on stage. You're all looking at my body, out back and off the stage, laid open. And oh, the little lilacs coming out, striking but still feeling that lack. How often I'm left ajar, open and seamless, an invitation fraying at the joints, like those pants bulging, growing. My dad screams, "Thunder thighs," across the room. My dad weighs less than me. Holding my body locked in, patch those thighs from chub rub, but that chub will keep on rubbing and those pants will keep on breaking and you will never be held tightly for long. Where did I go wrong? This is the way I wash my body, wash my body, wash my body. This is the way I wash my body, of starving on a diet. How tragic to be such a slender thread of a person. How tragic to give up carbs when bread tastes so good. Remember, fat equals good, fat equals good, fat equals good, fat equals God. Don't try that diet shit on me. Don't try that shame shit on me. Get out of my house. Yeah, I said it. How dare I be so bold? Thunder thighs. Yeah, I said it. How dare I be so bold? A body, a body, a body. Do you believe in animosity? Do you believe in heaven for the next generation? Fat, thickened, laid out like a prize to be won.
Next up is Harry Messi.
The restaurants were smallish and priced toward the low end. Servers were on their feet and moving all the time. They carried heavy plates and glasses back and forth from kitchen to table to kitchen. They got tired quickly. There was no place for them to sit, even on their breaks, because management thought it would irritate customers to see the servers sitting while they were waiting hungrily for their meal. Servers had to be intelligent. They had to think and plan a lot. They had to figure out what customers wanted, remember it, describe it to the kitchen staff, watch for the dishes that they had ordered, deliver them and any side dishes to the right people at the right tables, and take care of billing and payment. They had to watch the customers carefully. Are they signaling? Are they upset? Do they need their bill? But also, what about that guy in the corner who is acting like he wants to pinch my butt? Is he serious? Is the woman with him going to be mad at me and make him leave a low tip? If the servers are busy, they can't be seen to watch the customers, since any glance can be interpreted as a sign of availability. They have to look only at the customer they are serving at the moment, while being aware that another is signaling to them for coffee. They also have to manage their relations with the kitchen. Is it the right time to remind the kitchen about the steak order? Is the cook in a nasty enough mood to treat a reminder as a reason to forget the order completely? The student, Eve, observed the work for several shifts using ergonomic software to note their movements. She noticed that the women and men had different walking patterns, even though they had the same job title and task assignments. Women serving food took 83% more steps per minute than the men. Yes, it's true, women's legs are shorter on average, and we take smaller steps, but the steps are only 10% smaller.
Lead ghost. Fear of being caught alone. Fear of the fear of being caught alone. Fear of being caught and held. Fear of the fear of being caught and holding on to. Fear of clinging to the hope of being caught alone. Fear of the enormous alone. Fear of turning down a kindness for a fear so large I cannot visualize anything but more fear of no, saying no, the tube of it drawn out my throat. Fear of the threat of yes, the means to concede to. Fear all the live long, all the life long, all the way to the fear of hoping this means I mean more than my fear of being wrong and then wrong about wrong. Fear attaching itself to minerals in my blood. Fear of the dense patter, the verbs asking me to act. Fear of folding the map around me until only this spot. Fear of me and what I will do when I am told to choose. Fear of choosing nothing because I know how. Fear of knowing nothing but what I won't do. Fear of whittling the world into a little push pin I cling to. Fear of sliding down to the tip and finding no point in fear, no hook, no point to any of it. A corpse flower is blooming in the Bronx. The smell makes men weep for their stupid loose skin. Carry on the seasonal balm like a body on a wave, while bodies in the waves at the city beach peek over Pavlova suds with daffy little sucks of breath. The sun bleaches and makes radiant the ribcage. Such effort to surface and resurface are gamey frames, near ridiculous. In bloom all over North America, a nightmare at the heart of botanical gardens. The skirt lifts for the pinball eyes of tourists, spadix stately as a centurion, a rouge broom, a near-perfect specimen of death, which is to say, continual and colorful, no one way. This is no dream.
Fighting for a Hand to Hold, Confronting Medical Colonialism Against Indigenous Children in Canada, forward by Cindy Blackstock and afterward by Ellen Gabriel. Inequalities in healthcare follow the fault lines of societal injustices. The campaign countered the narrative, prevalent both in Quebec and in Canada, that colonialism is a relic of the past. It challenged the notion that we live in a post-colonial era marked by a genuine commitment to reconcile with Indigenous peoples whose ongoing dispossession and oppression continue to benefit provincial and federal governments and the non-Indigenous population who have settled and occupy these lands to this day. One of the quotes I often share came from a former pediatric resident at the Montreal Children's Hospital. A few weeks after the launch of the hashtag A Hand to Hold campaign, she emailed me to convey her relief that something was finally being done to disrupt the status quo. I can't even recall the times in my residency that I was in a situation where this policy affected a child I was taking care of. We knew it was the rule, we knew it was awful, and yet we just kept going. Her words aptly describe our complicity in accepting the injustices inflicted on Indigenous communities. The danger with normalizing injustice is that even the most sensitive individual may become desensitized to the suffering it causes. By using the hashtag A Hand to Hold campaign as a case study to explore unsettling truths about how colonial governments deal with Indigenous children and their communities, including a focus on the medical establishment's genocidal role in colonization and colonialism, this book is meant to make a modest contribution to ensure that we no longer just keep going.
Oh boy, tone shift right now. Allison, can I have a word with you? Ms. Miriam asked as she erased the whiteboard. It was the end of the school day, and I wasn't exactly looking forward to lining up for the bus. I decided on the spot that I would wait for the late bus, since it would at least be less crowded. When Ms. Miriam finished cleaning the whiteboard, she came and sat down at the table next to me. She angled her chair so she could look at me, then leaned forward, concern in her eyes. Allison, you seem a bit distracted lately. Is everything okay? Just busy, I lied. That's all, because I have to say I was surprised today when you said that the storm scene in King Lear is an example of pathetic phallus instead of pathetic fallacy. Ms. Miriam looked away as she said this, giving me a moment to wallow in shame for the mistake I'd made so publicly. I felt my stomach clench. So that's why the class laughed. How did I miss that? I rested my head in my hands. I can't believe I said that. I can't believe the class didn't laugh more. Ms. Miriam chuckled. I don't know that everyone caught the mistake. The words sound pretty similar, and to be fair, it is an interesting interpretation. At least one of us found this funny. I was trying to remember exactly who had laughed at my blunder. Had Ben caught it? I couldn't handle it if Ben knew I'd confused a penis with a literary device. Oh, God. Ms. Miriam tilted her head and gave me an understanding smile. It's really not that bad, Miss Allison. But it did make me wonder if you're stretching yourself a little thin. Things are busy with the play right now. I know that's not an excuse, and I shouldn't let an extracurricular get in the way of my studies, and I won't. Today was just a fluke. I'll be back on track next class. I spoke fast, trying to fix my mistake with words. Ms. Miriam looked at me without speaking. After a moment, I had to break eye contact because I was afraid her compassion would break me. Allison, it's okay to mess up.
And next up is Sheila Fishman. You might find that Sheila looks a little bit different today than she usually looks. But that is because, as you will see when she steps to the podium, it's Donald Winkler, who has graciously offered to read for Sheila.
I'm reading from Sheila Fishman's translation of Kim Thuy's M, which was longlisted for this year's Giver Prize, Tim and the Pilot in My Lay. If Tom, the pilot in My Lay, if Tom had known that a helicopter pilot was to spot her as she was disentangling herself from the pile of inert bodies, she would not have moved. Unlike the baby who had been killed by a second gunshot because he had screamed, Tom didn't need a mother's breast in her mouth to make her stay silent and play dead. The blood of others was running into her ear, making it seem to her that she was being protected by hell, that realm forbidden to humans. But death is not given to us all. The pilot saw Tam's hair rippling down her back, just like the hair of his daughter, Diane, whom he'd put to bed a few months, a few days, a few hours earlier. The pilot saw life. The aircraft descended towards Tam, and he pulled her away from the corpses washed in light. The man lifted her, tugging on her sodden blouse, stained with indelible images. He climbed, holding her at the end of his arm, straight up towards the sky. The pilot gave life a chance, gave himself a chance at his own life, the one that awaited him after the war, after My Lay, after Tam, when he would rejoin his own people. Thank you.
So those are our readers. Thank you to everybody. We will have our last, Sheila will now write. Sheila, who looks suspiciously like Donald Winkler. So merci and thank you to all of the QWF finalists who came here today to read and write for us. It's Monique Polak, Amy Wall, Sarah Burgoyne, Donald Winkler, Tanya Bellumur-Alat, Nadine Nima, Sarah Van Art, Eli Tarek El-Beshalani Lynch, Karen Messing, Jesse Jones, Samir Shaheen Hussein, Denis Jansen, and Donald, Sheila Donald. Thank you so much. I think today's collaborative story is going to be a good one. So no pressure. Putting the final words up. I think we've got the final words done. We're going to now ask Monique Polak to come up. We're going to give Monique a couple of minutes to look over the collaborative text. She is going to read it for us. So while we are giving Monique a few minutes to read, I'm going to remind you all that the 23rd QWF Literary Awards Gala will be live streamed on YouTube from the Cabaret Lion d'Or at 7 p.m. this coming Wednesday, November 24th. And you will see all of your lovely finalists there again. This year's gala theme is masquerade. Yeah. But we'd like you to join in the fun. All you have to do is get yourself a Venetian mask, not one of these, and take a picture of yourself wearing it. Then starting at 6:30 p.m. on November 24th, post the photo on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter using hashtag QWF Masquerade. All who do post their photos will be entered in a draw to win a set of 6 of the award-winning books. As well, I'd like to announce that next Saturday, November 27th, the QWF's own Christopher Neal, who is with us in the audience, you can't see him, but I can, and he's waving at you guys. He's hosting a table ronde at the Salon du Livre with playwright and novelist Fanny Britt, Antoine Tanguay from Edition Alto, Gigi Award-winning translator Rhonda Mullins, and translator and novelist Neil Smith at 5 p.m. That will be in person at the Salon. Monique, how's it going? So. You're okay, well, Monique.
I'm ready. I guess I can just read it.
Do you want to bring the computer over here?
I think we'll move the stand there, so.
I blame the poets. Because I don't know what they're talking about.
You can take your notes.
Okay. I blame the basil. I was reaching for the basil when I spotted a jar marked bay leaves, which was when I suddenly remembered a news story I'd once read about a woman who murdered her husband by serving him spaghetti with bay leaves. The poor guy choked to death, so I reached for the bay leaves instead of the basil. Then I took a deep breath and unscrewed the bottle. The phone rang. The cat yowled. I dropped the entire bottle into the pot. The pot overflowed, a translation of a volcano. The birds outside the window fought mid-air, squawking, tumbling mid-air. The tension, the conflict, somehow exterior, mid-air. The basil had nothing to do with it. It was the choking that was more alarming. The choking of the air in my lungs, a humid knot caught in my throat, the time winding down till the what? Till the bell rang. The salad was made of quinoa sprinkled with sesame seeds, chunks of avocado, and marinated tofu with black beans on the side. Between bites, I took sips of mint tea. Loud, metallic sounding music blasted from the speakers above us. At a round table nearby, a mother giggled with her 5-year-old. The child had gorgeous blonde locks. She didn't want to eat, she just wanted to play. She wanted to be dancing everywhere. She wore a long pink and white dress. She kept singing from the top of her lungs. I will be an opera singer. I will have many people lining up to see me, to hear about the photographs of the 1918 flu, their badly made masks, their thin faces. Now we are making these new documents in color, and someone years from now will also read our faces and comment on our badly worn masks. The masks slip from our faces on the floor. What an offense. Pick it up quickly and blush. Look around the room, but no one is even looking at us. We are one, but sometimes many. We leave the room and spend weeks thinking about a moment no one noticed. Move on, move back, repeat. The time we thought the bus wouldn't show up, so we stood at the side of the road for hours, our phone dead, no data. The bus kept not passing, but we kept waiting. A man passes by and says, the buses are on strike, and you feel relief, no longer needing to wait, no longer needing to decide when to leave. Prolonged standing is painful. My legs hurt, my back hurts. I move on into autumn steeped with deep leaves. I intend to reach into the black pool of winter and dredge it for something more desperate. It is not in my nature to find the pretty eyelash on the cheek and to will it into meaning. Meaning, I hold and hold and hold. It is not in my nature not to hold on too long. The past, the present, the future. What will we tell future generations about the present based on the past so that they can create their own future? Histories are stories that we tell ourselves, oftentimes to justify the blunders of what we call civilization. But they are just stories, and that means we need to create new stories, including about our history, because much needs still to be told. The future is impossible to predict, but I wonder if maybe we have seen hints of it in the mudslides, the viruses, the RCMP rounding up land protectors. Then what do we leave those future generations? Can they reclaim from us the future they deserve? The young activists fight for more and more, even when we promise less and less. Thank you for the opportunity to make these books better known.
I'm just going to leave that there. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Monique, for that wonderful reading, and I understood it really well. I know that some of you were hungry. I got that. And some of you, we did make you stand up, so I apologize. Next time we'll have the option for a chair. And yeah, the past, present, and the future. There's a lot going on. Thank you so much to all our wonderful readers once again, and thank you to our YouTube audience. So hope to see you at the gala and at the Salon du Livre next weekend.